In life, most of the time we keep our distance from people who are sick, deformed, or handicapped. We may not admit it, but we are afraid of them. They need our touch. They need to be assured that we accept them as they are. Yet paradoxically, we love to be touched. We feel honored when someone important shakes hands with us or gives us a pat on the back. Our God wishes to touch us. His name is Emmanuel, God with us. Be touched by God. It can make all the difference. Hello, I'm Father Sony Sebastian, a Divine Word missionary priest. This is an effort from my part to share with you some of my reflections on the scripture passages, especially the ones that we normally use at the Sunday liturgy. What I have done is I have taken some of them and I try to explain and share with you what I think about those passages, as well as how we can connect and relate that with our present day living system and our own life. And so today we are going to reflect on the passage of Mark, from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 1, verses 40 to 45. Chapter 1st of Mark, verses 40 to 45. Let's listen to it. A leper came to him and kneeling down, begged him and said, "If you wish, you can make me clean." Moved with pity, he stretched out his hand, touched him, and said to him, "I do will it. Be made clean." The leprosy left him immediately, and he was made clean. Then warning him sternly, he dismissed him at once. Then he said to him, "See that you tell no one anything, but go, show yourself to the priest and offer for your cleansing what Moses prescribed. That will be proof for you. That will be proof for them." The man went away and began to publicize the whole matter. He spread the report abroad so that it was impossible for Jesus to enter a town openly. He remained outside in deserted places, and people kept coming to him from everywhere. Interesting passage. It's all about, in a way, leprosy. I don't know if you have experienced or not. I do. I do have experienced living with and being in contact with people suffering from leprosy, so to say, lepers. It was during my formation years, preparing to become a priest back in India. I still remember so vividly that every week we all were assigned with different kind of ministries, and all of us invariably had to go to this so-called leper colony. When I went there, I saw these lepers, many of them having no hands, all the fingers probably gone, no proper toes on their feet, and not able to balance, walking like that. And some of them having, big kind of wound or rashes on their face or other parts of the body, having no feeling. I've also seen this particular brother, who was also a doctor, executing sometimes kind of very rude kind of surgery by amputating someone. No, injection, no anesthesia, just straight away cut off the limb because no feeling. So I have this experience of going to the leper colony, being associated with lepers. But one thing I have learned from them, we had to, of course, as brothers, as seminarians, our job was to clean them, bathe them, shave the men because they could not hold their razor. So those were our job. And of course, at the beginning, this was really so difficult even to hold that razor and to start shaving a man who already had some kind of wound or things on his face. So this was definitely a very, an experience that I never wanted to go on with. But when you look at what happened at Jesus' time, so also what my own personal experience of being lepers, I know that this was a sickness that was dreaded. Those days, of course, it had no cure. Today, of course, we know it has cure. It can be fully healed, but at the same time, this is something that people dread. People don't want to come in contact with. Because though it is a communicable disease, it is not communicated by coming into contact with once or twice or even being with the person. It takes a long time. So also, if we have careful protection, it can be avoided. So we find in today's scripture as well Jesus referring to as well as this leper coming to Jesus to be healed. During the time of Christ, a leper was diagnosed to have leprosy in a very crude way. We read those signs of leprosy in the book of Leviticus. It says that if a swelling or scab or shiny spot appears on a man's skin, a case of leprosy of the skin is to be suspected. Just imagine, just a rash or a scab. And who was to determine this? The priest. Was he a physician? No. So what was the ground through which he made that decision? Well, the book of Leviticus said it. And what was the outcome? What was the result? If a person were to be found with or had the signs, I repeat that, of leprosy, he was excommunicated from the society. He had to be immediately away from his family, from his loved ones. He had to live outside the community, outside the society, and could not come in contact with the community at all. And anytime these people had to come, they had to ring a bell and had to shout out, unclean, unclean. So this was a very inhuman and very deplorable kind of a situation. The life of a leper was always a dreadful situation. We all want to be with people. We want to be with our own loved ones. We want to be cared for. We want to be loved. They were denied of everything. And to that kind of a situation, we are told that Christ is approached by this leper. Now imagine, remember, as I already mentioned, the leper could not come closer to anyone else. He had to be away from the person. Now we are told that this person comes to Christ. So he is already breaking the regulation. He's coming to him. And then he says, if you will, if you wish, you can make me clean. And Christ says, yes, I do. I do wish. Be clean. He takes courage. And Christ is healing him. And in this particular act of his healing, how does he do that? He's touching this person. Now again, look at what Christ is doing. As I said, a leper cannot come to the community. A leper cannot come in communication with other people. The same way, people who were well also were not able to go and be in communion and communication with a leper. By touching a leper, Christ himself was endangering his own purity, his own cleanliness. He became impure in the sight of his own religion when he touched the leper. But he did something that was very necessary. By touching him, Christ was restoring back to life, back to who that person was. He was lifting him up, and he was letting him know that yes, you are a son of God. You are made in his image and likeness. Be restored. So he heals him of his leprosy. That was a physical healing. But much more than that, he was also healed of the inner self. He was brought back to his normal reality, normal person. Now, it's interesting what happens after that. Christ tells him, now, my dear, you have been healed. I know that you are healed, but you have to go and certify that you are healed. So go and show yourself to a priest. Again, the person to certify another individual who has been affected or who has been named a leper was the priest. The priest had to certify that this particular person can again be inducted back to the community. And so Christ tells him, go and show yourself to a priest. But he wants him not to tell this to anyone else. But we know from the scriptures, we come to know that this man, he goes and shares that with everyone else. The result was Christ was not able to walk anywhere freely. So he had to stay in the periphery of the towns and had to teach. But people came to him. People came to him. Now, another thing that we notice here is that particular aspect of this person's life. Once he was healed, though Christ wants him not to tell, he goes around sharing it with others. You know, the fact is, once I have this Christ experience, once I have gone through that experience of meeting Christ, being touched by him, being healed by him, being made whole by him, I cannot contain that within myself. I need to share this with others. Look at what happens with St. Paul. We know Paul was a persecutor of Christ. He went around trying to get rid of all the Christians. But that one experience of being, thrown out from the horseback and being asked by Christ, why do you persecute me? Transforms and changes the whole life of Paul. He becomes an apostle of the Gentiles. And everywhere he went, he only preached that one incident, that one moment of his conversion, that encounter with God. So every encounter that I have, every encounter that you and me have of Christ, we cannot just keep to ourselves. We need to share it with others. And it is our testimonies, it is our life experience that is going to make or convince others, that is going to bring others to Christ as well. Let's continue reflecting on this. But before that, let's take a short break. Stay with me.
Do you want to fall in love with God? I'm sure we all want to. The book of Psalms contains the directions. Thousands of years ago, people like you and me talked to God out of the depths of their hearts, revealing an intimate love. Psalms are the expression of the faith in God by people around 3,000 years ago. God was not a mere abstract creator, but was present, involved, and a real person of power and emotions. Now, when we read or listen to the Psalms, we can know the intensity of this love. Entering into the influence of the Psalms, we can find a path to know and love God. To know more about the Psalms, you should get a copy of Father Mike Manning's booklet, The Psalms. It will help you to understand the 150 Psalms better as he has categorized them. He uses the technique of acts: adoration, contrition, thanksgiving, and supplication. Get your copy today and know the categories. Learn to pray with the Psalms.
Call the number on the screen or email us. You can also get it through our website. Get your copy today.
Welcome back. We have been sharing about the passage from the Gospel of Mark chapter 1 verses 40 to 45, where we have this person suffering from leprosy. This leper comes to Christ and asks him to heal him. And of course, Christ heals him by touching him. And I tried to share with you my own personal experience of working or being in contact with lepers when I was a seminarian, and of course even after my ordination in the northern part of India, that I have worked in the various parts. Even today there are places and facilities that caters to people suffering from leprosy. And even today it's a sad situation that even with our advancement of the technology and medicine, still we have not been able to accept and embrace that situation completely, to accept people who are suffering from leprosy. They are kind of ostracized and is excommunicated from the society, from family. And the reason is because we think that we can also get contaminated by the same situation. I also shared with you during my in the last segment how Christ approaches them. Christ is in fact approaching them with a lot of compassion. He is not only just telling the person, yes, I want you to be healed, but rather he is touching him, he's holding him, he's raising him up, because we are told that this person knelt before Christ and pleaded with him. So Christ was also endangering his own position in the society by touching a leper, touching an unclean person. By doing that, he was also becoming himself impure. He had to also probably go through the act of purification again, the ritual purification act. But for Christ, what was more important was that particular person and enabling him, bringing him back to his wholesomeness. And that's what he does by touching and letting him know that I want you to be healed, not only from your physical leprosy, impurity, so also from everything that is kind of eating you up. I think this should definitely lead us to think about our own society today. As I said, leprosy is a curable disease. We may not have lepers in our society, especially in our situation. We may not be coming in contact with any of them. But we have different kind of leprosy today in our society. Look at the kind of situation that we ourselves are in. The number of HIV AIDS patients that we have. We even knowing that this is a disease that cannot be communicated without having sexual contact with somebody, or without having the blood of an HIV positive person transfused into me, I still am kind of reluctant to come in close proximity in those people. We have that is a disease situation. We have other situations as well. Think about the number of drug addicts that we have, the kind of people that we find in our own cities, the homeless, the alcoholics, the migrant workers, the asylum seekers. These are all people that we think are to be dreaded. I think these are the kind of leprosy that is kind of eating us up and our society today. Are we able to touch them? Are we able to do something for them? Very often I sometimes go to a gas station and somebody comes to me as I am filling my car with gas. Somebody would come up to me and ask, hey, Do you have a change? Any change? Or somebody standing at the exit of the freeway with a sign, homeless, need help. What's our attitude? What's our response to them? I used to, in the beginning, when I came to this country and when I was approached by people like that, I used to detest them. I said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to name, but at the same time, you know what I mean. I didn't want to have any kind of association with those people at all. But I've changed myself. I've changed. When somebody comes to me, if there is any possibility, I would definitely give him a couple of dollars or her. Because for me, that person is important. It doesn't matter to me what he does with that money or what she does with that little help that I'm able to give. Because that is his or her responsibility. This is a leprosy that our society has been suffering from. And I know I'm not perpetuating this, but at the same time, I'm seeing that person as another brother or sister of mine, another person who has been created in the image and likeness of God. And for that moment, for me, whatever little help I can, I will. And I will leave the rest to that person. Let him or her deal with the rest. Because we should not detest them, rather we should embrace them. We have a lot of discussions today going on with regard to migrants. Remember, we are all migrants. We all are in this world as travelers. Nothing is permanent. My life is not permanent. It is going to be over. It's a fleeting reality. Today I am here. Tomorrow I could be gone. Whatever I own, whatever I have, at least I think I have, will also be gone. So can we not spend a few moments? Can we not at least touch that person? Let that person know that he or she is cared for, that he or she is also a child of God like you and me. I think that's the best way we can affect and bring that kingdom, the value of kingdom today in our society. That's the way we can treat the leprosy that is eating our society away, my dear brothers and sisters. I like to share with you a little interesting story as I conclude this reflection. A man was wondering what hell and heaven might be like. One night he had a dream in which he was brought to visit hell and heaven. Hell consisted of a large room with a long table down the center, and the table was laden with every kind of food. The people sitting around the table, however, were totally emaciated and malnourished, as each had 6-foot long spoons, and each of them and the spoons were tied to their hands. And they were trying to feed themselves, taking from the wonderful food that was spread in front of them, with the spoon. But each time they would take, it will fall out because they could not bring it to their mouth. Then the man, the next door, he was brought to next door, which was heaven, which was also a large room with a long table down the center. And once again, the table was laden with all kinds of food. In this case, also the people had this long spoon tied to their hands. But people looked happy, fulfilled, contented, satisfied. You know why? None of them were trying to feed themselves. Rather, with the long spoon that was tied to their hand, they were able to take food and give to the other. The other was able to give it to me. Look at those two situations. That's exactly what we have in this passage, my dear brothers and sisters. Christ was able to restore that person back to life. You know what we need also is that kind of brotherly, sisterly approach, that kind of living in union, in community. You know, the problem today is I always try to compare our society to or compare our society to two kind of system or style. One is a circular society, the other one is a ladder society. The circular society is where everybody is together. Everyone can see each other. Everybody is trying to help one another. Whereas the ladder society is that I'm trying to step on the other because I want to climb the ladder on the top. Because the society tells me, be there, be the first. So I'm able to step on the other and I'll be on the top and I'll look down on the other. What we need is a circular society where we can live in harmony with each other. May we always remember that the Master's touch can make a difference in our lives. Amen.
Do you want to fall in love with God? I'm sure we all want to. The book of Psalms contains the directions. Thousands of years ago, people like you and me talked to God out of the depths of their hearts, revealing an intimate love. Psalms are the expression of the faith in God by people around 3,000 years ago. God was not a mere abstract creator, but was present, involved, and a real person of power and emotions. Now, when we read or listen to the Psalms, we can know the intensity of this love. Entering into the influence of the Psalms, we can find a path to know and love God. To know more about the Psalms, you should get a copy of Father Mike Manning's booklet, The Psalms. It will help you to understand the 150 Psalms better as he has categorized them. He uses the technique of acts: adoration, contrition, thanksgiving, and supplication. Get your copy today and know the categories. Learn to pray with the Psalms.
Call the number on the screen or email us. You can also get it through our website. Get your copy today.